As the opening line from a classic work of literature says, "The sun did not shine, it was too wet to play, so we stayed in the house all that cold, cold, wet day." This was somewhat depressing, but at least I'd have plenty of time to read and get ahead of my vlogging, right? Not exactly. Call it internet distraction or plain old procrastination, but if I have 10 things to get done, I will finish all but 2 of them. If I only have 2 things to do, I still usually finish all but 2. There was one thing I was duty-bound to accomplish, and that was cooking this ham. Lilith decided we should have it on Saturday, and since she was working, that left me to do the cooking. Baking a ham is an easy but somewhat tedious process because you have to tend to it every 30 minutes or so, which means you're limited as to what you can do in the interim periods. So I spent most of the day scouring the interwebs for anything interesting, getting annoyed that almost no one on YouTube uploads anything on Saturday, and I did a lot of thinking. In particular, I was thinking about communities, what they mean to us, what it means to be a part of them. A few days ago, Michael Aranda had an upload after being stuck in the Minneapolis airport for a day, and I shared a story about a time I got stuck in an airport in Africa for 3 days back when I was in college. What I was thinking about yesterday was how that came to pass. I was in Nigeria because I had been awarded a teaching fellowship from Alma College. Despite some problems, it was quite an honor and a richly rewarding experience, but I don't want to talk about that day. I want to talk about how that program was funded. In part, it was supported by the school, but it was also largely funded by a local service fraternity I happened to be a member of. Sigma VEDA was a tiny group of guys who you might think of as nerd fighters if it hadn't been 30 years before the term was born. We stayed busy working with Big Brothers and Sisters of Gratiot County and similar charitable organizations. Our big project every year, however, was running the faculty auction, where we solicited donations from the staff and sold them off to support this teaching fellowship with a developing school in Ode-Ekiti, Nigeria. Doing this, we managed to raise several $1,000s each year, despite the fact that we were not particularly rich and almost everyone involved carried heavy class loads and kept up very good grades. Well, everyone but me anyway. We did it through the strength of community, by working together and calling on others to help us, much like the Project for Awesome works today. It makes me think of my students and all the high school and college students I hear from every December when the Project for Awesome comes up, or more recently in my vlog about Kiva loans. I understand what it is to be broke, worried about paying for college, and needing to find a job. I understand what it means to be hella busy and pressured to keep up in classwork and, grades. So if you ever can't give to Kiva or Project for Awesome or support deserving artists on Patreon and do all those other good things that we'd all like to do more of, you should never feel guilty about it. But don't give up. If there are things you really do care about and want to help, marshal your forces and call on the communities you are a part of. If you don't have a group like the Sigma Betas, start one of your own. Mostly, don't be afraid to start small. You'd like to make a $25 loan to Kiva but don't have an extra $25? Throw an unpizza party. Invite 5 friends to come over, each kick in $5, and instead of ordering pizza, have ramen noodles and sit around picking out a Kiva loan to support. Don't have $5? Go to your class president and suggest developing a legacy project for your school, where each class would commit to making a $25 loan each year. Get the idea to take hold and it could become a tradition and eventually raise lots more. Point is, you don't want to be someone who's going to do something good someday, when you graduate, when you find a job, when you get settled into a life. Life does never really get settled, so don't settle on doing nothing now. After all, we don't say to one another, don't forget to be awesome someday. The intention is to be awesome today. Don't forget it. Do you have a community, friends you can turn to for help? Let me know about it down in the comments. Thanks, and I'll talk to you again. Soon, hopefully.
Let's see.